Om Shanti. It's not only a very interesting topic, but it's equally very important. And there's a lot of urgency in that. Especially being a Brahmin, we've understood the true meaning of sanskars. In the Lokik world, the word sanskara simply means culture, moral, values, habits. But when we came to Baba, Baba gave us a very, very deep understanding of the word sanskara. And it's interesting, this is one thing which I need to transform. In the Lokik world, it's also understood as manners. You know, in the day-to-day life, in Hindi or in Gujarati, if you use the word sanskar, means day-to-day manners or etiquette, which we inherit from our parents or, mentor or so on. But when we come to Baba, we've actually understood the true meaning. And it's interesting, we've got so many translations we've done with many words, but this is one word, even in Baba's Murli, or even in the Brahmin language, we actually use sanskara. There's no translation for it. Because the moment you translate, the true meaning is lost. So I bet you all understand what sanskaras mean. But what is very important is, where do I create sanskaras and where do I store it? So Baba's given us an understanding that you're a soul and we have three different faculties, the mind, intellect and tendency, that's sanskaras. But the mind thinks, and if I keep on thinking the same thing a couple of times, and if I focus on that particular thought more and more, it turns into sanskara. And so sometimes you have very powerful and very benefiting sanskaras, which is confidence, faith, courageousness, many sanskaras. But of course, now, towards the end of the cycle, here we have accumulated very many negative also. And when we start focusing on that negative sanskara, we actually hide the positive ability, whatever we have. And it's interesting that when I start focusing on that negative side or unnecessary things, it becomes a sanskara of jealousy or sometimes comparison and competition. And so we cannot see what I have, the ability, the skills, the art, or the gift which I have, but I then start focusing on all these things, what others have. And so, as Sister Shuna just mentioned, that I've been serving on the continent of Africa. In the early days, when we used to have service meetings, you won't believe we were all sitting in this group, and most of them were from first world countries or developed world. And the language they use is a language we haven't yet come across. And I used to get very stuck there because I don't know what they're talking about, the .com language or whatever it is, And so I used to get stuck because all those things takes time to come to Africa. And so you're not very used to it. And I used to get a little bit disheartened, And I used to go to Sister Vedanti and say, I don't understand this language, it's very difficult. What's coming? I am creating a little thought. Either it's difficult, or either it's comparison between the two worlds, and then start focusing on that. And so what would happen is equals to negative sanskara. And what are these negative sanskaras? I become disheartened, I lose hope, I become angry, unhappy. All this then is accumulated in the soul. And if I keep on focusing on that every now and then, it's going to be my sanskara. Then even if I've been sent into that first world, I will still use the same thing for other things. Did you get what I'm trying to say? So sometimes it's situations, sometimes it's opportunities. When I am stuck in a situation and start focusing in that situation, even when I get an opportunity, I can't let go of that sanskara. And so I was told by a couple of souls, don't worry, you'll get used to it, don't worry. You don't need to say, I don't want to sit in these meetings, or I don't want to attend this, or I need to learn. No, you'll get used to it. It's just a language. And so there was so much of hope, that you won't believe now, the continent of Africa has also started holding hands with the other part of the world. And whatever is there, it's coming to the other side of the world very quickly. Because it's a very electronic world, isn't it? So all this fashion and everything is also very electronic now. When I say electronic, it's like a lightning. If a lightning is set in New York or in Paris, it goes through the continent, the world, very quickly. So the first time I saw this, these bands, which people used to wear, sometimes it's AIDS and sometimes it's some campaign. The first time when I saw it, I was like wondering what this was. I don't know where I saw it, somewhere in Europe. And the next thing, when I come back home, I see it in all the teenagers' hands. And it was so fast. So there's no margin where I need to get disheartened or I need to get unhappy or dissatisfied. Do not allow yourself to focus on that. Now we have 3 sets here. One is old habits. The other is old nature. And the third is old sanskaras. Habits, you understood. It's very, very gross, very mundane or physical. Some have habit of sleeping or some have habit of eating. These are the habits. Or some people, leave everything undone, or they've got that habit, But then, if you keep on doing the same thing as an habit, then it becomes your nature. Some people have the habit of jumping out of the bed and never to set up the bed or, make the bed, or, they just leave it like that and go away to work. It's not that they don't have time, but it's a habit. Some people have a habit, I've noticed, they drink coffee or tea and their cups are lying in every little corner of the office or of the house. Some people have the habit to cook in the kitchen but spread up and mess up the whole kitchen. These are habits. Whether it's office, whether it's kitchen, whether it's your room, wherever you are. And it's said habits don't die very easily, isn't it? But they are very physical, very, very physical. And then slowly, if you keep on doing the same thing and same thing every day, you come to a stage where it becomes nature. It is physical again, but it's nature. And I remember when we were growing up, our parents or our teacher or our elders, brothers and sisters, they would pinpoint this and say, make your bed and put your shoes properly and carry your plate to the sink or whatever, you see. So we've been pinpointed. And so before that takes a form of a habit, it stopped there only. We wouldn't say kill it. Because even in the world, there are two things. One is to suppress, and the other one is to transform. Not only change, but to transform. So we are not here to suppress. We are Baba's children, and we do not suppress. Why we do not suppress is we do not work from outward to inward. Then you have to suppress it. Yeah? From outward to inward, we suppress. But from inward to outward, we transform. And so whether it's habits or whether it's nature or sanskaras, I need to work inward to outward. In the world, when people are disciplined, and if it is outward to inward, they keep on suppressing and suppressing and building, and then it, blasts sometimes, isn't it? But we are not suppressing. Brahmins don't suppress. Papa's given us such a beautiful method. But first, if I define change and transformation, if I change something, I can change either way. Yeah? So if I've changed my nature or my habits, I can come back to them. There's a margin of that. But if I transform, I'm doing it from the deep down, completely inside. And so I will not go back to that nature or that habit. And so it's very important that whenever I first look at myself and see what habits I have, when I come to Baba, we let go those habits. And then, when my habits are transformed, my nature starts transforming. I remember when I came to Baba, of course, here we're a family, so there is nothing to be shy about. It's nice if we can inspire another soul. So when I came to Baba, I had a nature, I would say nature, not sanskara, not even habit, but nature, the second level, where I would love to prove myself. Whether it's school, whether it's teacher, whether it's parents, whether it's friend, very deep nature of proving. In Hindi, Baba talks about Jid and Siddh. Jid means stubbornness, and Siddh means to prove yourself. That was a very deep sanskara of this soul, honestly. If it is my mistake, and somebody pinpointed my mistake, I'll go straight away and apologize. I have no problem. I have no problem. That was a natural sanskara. It was like inherited, But if it is not my mistake, and somebody told me something, it was like jid and siddh. Jid means to be stubborn, and to prove. I will not sit down till I prove that I did not make this mistake or I did not say this. But I felt it was transparency. That's what I felt. According to my limited understanding. So I felt it's transparency. And I connected transparency with honesty. But really, Baba has said not to prove yourself. That's also very subtle body consciousness. And remember what I said? Inward to outward. When I want to transform, it has to be inward to outward. And this will not allow me to transform my nature. Because it's subtle body consciousness, subtle ego. And so it wouldn't allow me to really go deeper into. So that nature is then going to go deeper and deeper and turn into sanskara. And once it becomes a sanskara, it's not very easy to transform. Habit can be transformed very easily. But if habit turns into nature, then it's a little bit challenging. You have to make more efforts. But if nature turns into sanskaras, then look what happens to all the souls in the world. What is happening to the world, isn't it? And so Baba has come to transform not only our habits. He is focusing on our old sanskaras. And they're very deep. I remember many years back, there was a trance message in the early days. Every Thursday, a trance messenger used to offer book to Baba. And Baba had said that today I have come to get the chart of my children, a clean and a clear chart. A clean and a clear chart should be written by my children. And in that, Baba said a very interesting thing. Whatever is disturbing you, Baba will help you if you write it down clean and clear. So clean and clear simply means honesty, isn't it? In a very combined word or dharna, it's honesty. And it was very interesting. Baba defined it so nicely that if you have your habits and you write it down, it will go away. Baba will help you. Yeah? And if you have nature and you confess this or tell Baba from your heart, you will get a help. But deep old sanskaras has to be transformed with honesty only. And I remember there was an incident somewhere in one of the centers that a soul stole something. That's an old sanskara of stealing. What do they call it in a very scientific word? What is it? Kleptomanic. Yeah, kleptomania. Kleptomania. It's a disease in this iron age. They like to steal. And there are particular things they steal. It's not that they steal everything. They're particular. Some have habit of stealing chocolates. Some have habit of stealing gold or ornaments. Some have very simple habit of stealing clothes or something, kleptomania. And of course, that's been proven very scientifically. But when Baba comes and defines old sanskaras, some of them are so deep, and they're carrying on in the soul from birth after birth after birth. And so it's gone so deep. Even if that soul doesn't want to do that, it just happens automatically. It's not consciously done. And there's a lot of repentance, there's a lot of regret, even realization. But it's so deep and so, strongly engraved in the soul that to remove it, it's not very easy. But Baba very nicely said, if you have disturbance of your old sanskaras, in just thought level, thought level means in mind, then honestly talk to Baba in the mind. Baba, I have this nature or sanskara. I want to transform it inside, in Baba's remembrance, and it will help you to transform. But Baba says, if you have done something in your words, you have the habit to, talk harshly or rudely or straightforwardness, anything performed in words, then you have to go and apologize or clear your chart in words. And if Baba is not physically there, then you have to clear it in front of the instruments. Whoever the instrument Baba has given you, talk to that instrument and say, I have this problem. But you have to talk. And remember, you need a lot of courage to go and tell something to somebody. And the third thing is, if you have this old sanskara in action, if you're doing something in action, so it's the mind, the mind, the words and action, isn't it? And so whatever level I have performed, I have to clear my chart on that level. If it is action like stealing or, doing something in that level, then I have to go and clear my chart in action. Practically perform actions which then take me back and transform my old sanskaras. And so it's a beautiful exercise if I do it systematically. But if I try and do it out of ego or just for the sake of showing that I am changed, then Baba says, it's just change, it's not transformation. And I need to transform my sanskaras. Even if you feel you have changed a lot or transformed a lot, you feel that way. But towards the end, those sanskaras will pop up so badly that they will not allow you to go ahead. They're the ones who will become an obstacle in my way. And so rather than just feeling, I've changed a lot, or I have done a lot, I make a lot of efforts, I do a lot of tapasya, but I have to be real with myself, clean and clear. And so the soul I'm talking about, who had this old sanskara of pinching things, Baba says that this is a very old sanskara of this soul. And if this soul comes and confesses or clearing chart with the instrument, Baba will give you so much help to transform those sanskaras. Because they're so deep that I don't have the capacity alone to do it. I need Baba's help. And Baba will help those who are honest. Baba would only love to help those who are honest, who wants to really transform. And I saw that soul being transformed absolutely, still with Baba. And so it was just such a beautiful gift. Because when you have this old sanskaras, you're actually suffering. You don't want to do that, but it's just happening. I, as a child, had the habit of, always crying every now and then. Any earliest reason and I would cry. And when I came to Baba, I still had that sanskara. Even if something happens to somebody, I want to cry. And then one time Dadiji said, "Oh, you're all very cry babies, huh? You cry a lot." In Hindi, but Dadi used the word rotal. You're all very rotal when she came to our center. So today you promised that you don't cry. And I told Dadi, I have actually stopped everything. I was only 18 that time. And I told Dadi, I said, "Dadi, I've renounced everything in a very young age. I don't want to renounce my crying. I feel very light later on, So it was so real, to be very honest, And Dadi said, she just, took it very lightly. But of course I was working on it. It wasn't that just to escape. I knew it was the old sanskara, but not very deep, And it's such a beautiful feeling. Of course, sometimes, after a long, long time, one time I was searching for a house for Baba. We were renting a place and we had to shift. And that was the 11th house we shifted in that place. And I was now really mentally a little bit tired, that now what is going to happen to this center? Do I have to close it? And I had a deadline. I only had 4 more days to move from one place to the other. So that day I saw 25 places to move Baba's house, and nothing worked, So in the evening I was sitting in the garden, and I was, of course, worried. I have to be very honest. This was about 10, 12 years ago. So I was worried, but I was sitting in the garden and suddenly one brother came. "Sister, what are you doing in the garden in the dark?" And he saw me. I had tears here, Not crying, but I had tears here. And I said, "Oh, don't worry. We'll get something. Don't worry. Please don't worry." And that's it. That was fine. I just cleared and nothing. Next day, I was invited to a program, and I was in the program in a hotel, and I felt a little bit stuffy, so I went out. I told the brothers and sisters, "I'm just going out for some fresh air, and I'll come back." And I was standing there, and somebody called me, that "This brother is calling you." And when I turned and I saw a very, very old Brahmin in that country, and this brother was from a different country altogether. He says, "Sister, what are you doing?" I said, "I'm here. We have Baba's house in this country." He says, "Really?" And I have a business here. I came for a business trip. And then we just chat. And I told this brother, we're looking for a place and we're trying to move Baba's house to another place because we have to leave this place in 2-3 days. And I'm looking for a small little place to move, And he says, "Why small?" I said, "Because other places are so expensive, we can't afford." He says, "Please, don't say small. This is my contact. You're going in a big house, and I am going to pay for the rent for 1 year." And next day, the first thing in the morning after Murli, we went to look for a place, and we saw this beautiful house, a huge one. And I just sent him a message, and he paid for 1 year, and we moved in 1 hour time, 2 hours time. And we offered bhog. It was a Thursday. So we offered bhog in the new place. And then I was just sitting there and thinking, was I crying the other day? But actually it was tears of love. Tears of love which turns into pearl. So your old sanskaras then turns into a beautiful value. So it wasn't that painful, sorrowful tears. So it wasn't old sanskara, because otherwise the outcome wouldn't be this. And in that house, Dadi Gulzar came. And so it was such a beautiful gift. So what I'm trying to say here is not the whole story, but the main essence is transforming your old sanskaras. Actually, I was told to stop in 20 minutes, and it's 37 minutes. Because if you have any questions before we go into meditation, so I'd open the floor. There's a mic here. You can come in the front and ask a question, or you want to say something, or you want to share your own experience, you could do that. You're most welcome. And the next one can be ready also. Tell us your name and the country.
I'm Shanti, sister. I'm Shanti, and I'm from Malaysia. I just want to know a little bit further. Earlier, you told us that you had a habit of proving yourself. So, how did you transform yourself?
All right,
Okay.
That's beautiful. There are two things there. One is, when you grow physically also, because when you're young and, spirited and that teenage attitude, that also brings in that proving things, So I think mine was that rather than old sanskara. It was the age, that age was trying to use that tool to prove. So it was taking efforts, but not extremely difficult. But I'll tell you an incident. One time, because we're so many in the center, one time, it's not always where I am, I travel a lot, so there are so many centers in Africa, 77 centers, so in different parts of Africa. But so you don't need to think where it is, but the example is we are many in one place, and so one person told another person that Sister Pratibha said this. So that person then came to me and said, why did you say that? And so I said, but I never said that. Now actually I have to stop there. But I said, no, come with me, let's go. I want to go to this person and I want to prove it. And so when I took this person and I said, all right, now ask. And this person then had no idea what to do and where to look. And I was very lucky. The second person who came to me did not change. Otherwise, sometimes they can change and say, oh, I never said anything. But everything went very clear, the triangle. But when I saw that humiliation in that soul, it hurt me a lot. Why did I want to humiliate that soul? By proving myself. What benefit is it? Because loss means either loss from my side or loss from the other side also. And that's my family, my sister, my brother. So why do I want to do that? Take it away from somebody else and keep it for myself. So proving, that opened my eye that there is no benefit in this. So when I opened my eye there, I said, oh, I never want to do this again. So then slowly and slowly, whenever I had this situation, where some, like word or whatever, it's a game, blame game or whatever, then I started working on myself to keep quiet. Quiet. And that quiet is not suppressing, just very light. And I started working on it so nicely, and I got a beautiful compliment from someone. Oh, you've changed so much over the years. You've changed so much. Before, you would go and prove yourself, but now you don't say anything, and you're completely light. And I loved that feeling. So did you see the two different feelings? Even if I go and prove someone, but I am going to humiliate that one, so that happiness is never going to make me happy. But this one, where people would compliment you and say, oh, you've changed so much. Before you would prove yourself, but now you're letting go. And that is such a beautiful feeling. So it's not something to see or hear, but it's something to feel. And that's where my transformation came. It was a very particular incident, and I can still remember it so freshly. Yeah. Any other question? Or that was a lovely question, yeah? Yes, please.
Om Shanti, my name is Luciana from USA. My question is that when you find an old sanskaras, and my experience is that I have to learn something from that and then give to Baba. But in that moment, you may feel some emptiness, some vulnerability, because you don't know exactly how is this surrendering, how Baba will work on you. You are like in between. You know something great will come, but not yet. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes,
how do you deal with this? How is it really that, what is the work Baba has to do, and what is that you have to do to have it really cleaned?
What I have to do is letting go, not hold on to it. The moment I hold on to it, then I don't create space for Baba to fill me up. And letting go, sometimes you feel, if I let go, maybe my recognition will go away, my responsibility or my role will go away. It will not go. It will multiply. But that fear is there. If you're an in charge or a coordinator or, taking care of a department. And so if you don't use that tactics or whatever you call it, then you would feel, oh, my role will go away, my responsibility will go away, but it will never go. If you let go, you've created space, and in that space, Baba is going to multiply. And it's going to be so powerful and effective that you will never realize that it's gone. But you would feel it's even come twice more, and you have benefited rather than you've lost anything. So letting go is very important, but not out of fear, out of a lot of trust. Trust in yourself and trust in Baba. Anybody else? No question, no experience. Anybody could even share the experience. It would be lovely. Come, brother, come. Yes, please. A comment. Yeah. Your name and the country where you come from.
Om Shanti, I'm Brother Naik from Hong Kong. You just mentioned that, when we have a sanskara at thought level, and then words and action. And you have given example for thoughts and words. But what about actions? If I perform certain actions, how I can settle that one?
That's lovely. Actions means whatever I do, whether it's physical karma yoga, or when I go on the service field, I come across the challenges, or, I am working or serving with a soul who is quite difficult with me in my field. That is all there in action. Even if a soul who is a companion in the center is very difficult with you, just good wishes and pure feelings, because they're the ones who are helping you to transform your, clearing your accounts. So in that way, that's action. Sometimes you're in a center where not much comes in Baba's box, and you're struggling, and you're working very hard. That is a way of clearing your, that little, accumulation. And in that way, slowly and slowly, you'll come to, it's very interesting. It goes completely, it looks negative, but the situation is not negative. It's a situation which is actually helping me to learn a lesson and then move on, And it becomes a gift, like a jumping, what do you call, like, what do you call this board we jump for swimming? Diving board. Diving board. It's like, it works like a diving board. And so, it's a very interesting way. Anything physically you are coming across in your Brahmin life, where somebody is torturing you, or somebody is not listening to you, or your field is quite challenging, that is all there to clear my old sanskaras.
What about I have stolen something, so how I should settle that one?
In that, of course, you're not going to steal now. You will be very focused on that.
Yeah.
But you have to go to your instrument and say, I made this mistake and I stole.
Just express.
Yes.
Okay.
In
The next
words.
one is...
And it's very difficult to speak, So that's what you need to break through. And you will see our seniors are wonderful. They're just wonderful. There will be so much respect in their eyes or drishti that will uplift you.
Thank you. One more regarding the tears. I have that habit until many years. So even when you are, talking about the brother offering, 1 year rent, my tears are, rolling down. So I have that problem, but I never worked on that. So it is natural,
brother,
whenever the
you
situation
must check
comes.
yourself. Is it tears of love, where there is no pain, no space for pain or sorrow? Or is it the tears of pain and sorrow? If it is tears of love, then it's fine, not to worry. It becomes a pearl in Baba's necklace, isn't it?
Thank you. Shanti.
Om Shanti. All right. Yes, please come, please come. It's becoming more and more interesting.
Lou from Malaysia.
Law from Malaysia.
This transformation of sanskar, it should take place within a second, Baba says. But sometimes when there is the inner thought to change, however, you also realize at the time that looks like it's not going to take place any soon. So, and then Baba has been saying that we should really put it into a chart. And I find that when we really write it down, there is this power, but sometimes you just won't write it down.
That's where you have to become your master. But the other thing is, when you want a transformation, is it your sanskara Or is it you talking about the other sanskara?
No, it's within. It's within actually.
All right. Now what happens is that, yes, Baba does say it transforms in a second, but the correct second. That's very important. Not this second, but the correct second. Whenever the correct second comes, it transforms straight away. Till then, you're making efforts and efforts. So that's where karmic accounts come in. You know, we had a soul very active. That soul was very active. But whenever that soul wants to sit in Baba's remembrance, oh my God, sleep. You know, that soul just dozes off straight away. And we knew it was old sanskaras, not allowing the soul, you know, to change and do tapasya. Now remember, one tool Baba's given us to transform your sanskaras, you do a lot of tapasya. And tapasya helps you to transform the sanskara. But even if it doesn't allow, that sanskaras doesn't allow you to do tapasya, then it becomes very challenging, you see. And when the correct second comes, till then you have to, whether you call it suffering or whether you call it whatever, you have to go through that. But if you lose your patience there, that means your trust is gone. Trust in Brahma and Baba.
Can we lose sight of it?
Sorry?
Can we lose sight of it?
Yes, you can. Many Brahmins have.
So what do we do so that we don't lose sight for it?
Yeah, we have to, you know, work on your courage. And courage is very important. You know, as a Brahmin, Baba says, I need to keep that courage within me that today or tomorrow I am going to overcome this, what may happen. And whatever phase, you know, 1 year or 2 years or 5 years or 7 years you've gone through is the clearing of your account slowly, which is like a little bit of torture. And then after that, you know, that second comes and it goes through. Okay. But that's where the patience is needed, isn't it?
Thank you.
Om Shanti. I'm Kavita from USA. How do you deal with straightforwardness?
Straightforwardness? That's interesting. That's also a sanskara, mind you.
Yes.
And according to the Iron Age, straightforwardness is actually very necessary, you know, because then you're safe in this world. I know people don't like it, but if you're straightforward, you know what you're doing. But the moment you step into confluence age, that's where, remember, I am half in Iron Age and half in Golden Age. So it doesn't work. That's where Baba uses the word tactfulness. Yukti yukt. Yukti means tactful. Yeah? So, Lokik world, outside world, you have to be very straightforward. You know, whether people like it or not. But in Brahmin world, that's not allowed. And that's where I have to work on myself. The more I become yog-yukt, the more I become soul-conscious and connect to Baba, I become ras-yukt. Ras means the secret of drama, the secret of my role, the secret of my responsibility. And Ras Yukt then takes me to Yukti Yukt, tactfulness. And you won't believe this, Yukti is such a... I used to say when I came to Baba, remember my young age, quite challenging, always argument, always argument. And so I used to say, not Rajyukt, Yukti Yukt, tactfulness. I thought that was an excuse of escape. That's what I used to feel, You do something and then you say, oh, I'm tactful. You do something and no. The more I become soul conscious, I connect to Baba, I put that filter in between. So whatever is then what you call revealing, that's going to reveal in a very beautiful manner. And then I perform what I need to. And that's called Yukti Yukt, tactfulness. So in Brahmin life, straightforwardness doesn't work. I've tried. Because, when we become straightforward, actually either we take sorrow or we give sorrow. And that's what is not allowed in Brahmin life. Otherwise, it will never, ever allow me to go ahead. I'll get stuck there. So, my aim as a Brahmin is good wishes and pure feelings. And that's very important. All right, so we've got 2 more minutes and then we do our 7 o'clock meditation. Anybody quick? Yes, brother, come.
Om Shanti. My name is Brother Gilles, currently kind of in London. Yeah. I have a question. It's not about habits, it's not about so much relationships, it's about your dreams. And this is the part that I really found the most challenging. How do you change your dream patterns? Because sometimes, I really have this experience. I'm really doing great, everything is going fine, and suddenly I have a dream, I think, what's this? And it comes totally out of the blue. And I also noticed that other people also have this kind of problem, I think. At least in big
dream
life.
Means you're talking about dream.
Dream, yes. When you're sleeping and suddenly something from the past really emerges, which is a bit awkward because sometimes it comes like out of the context. And it's quite strange because I really had this experience. I was really doing great because, full of energy and all this kind of, and then suddenly I have a dream and it kind of...
And that dream brings you down?
Yeah. Exactly. That's the. It doesn't happen very often, but sometimes you kind of get this kind of thing. And I think this is the most challenging. I'm like more than 20 years with Baba, but this is for me it has been the most challenging part. It's not relationships. It's also not really habits. Nothing physical really. But how do you deal with that one?
Yeah. You see, even psychologically and psychiatrists and all of them do talk about, in the medical world, they say dreams are actually created in the subconscious. So, remember we talked about the clean and the clear one? So, what is my subconscious? Is it with some intentions? Is it stuck somewhere? And so, if my subconsciousness is limited, and I create it in a very sort of narrow manner, then things what I do in the daytime, it's going to get stuck there in the subconscious. So let's take to be very honest, it's another word for suppression. I told you we don't suppress, isn't it? So if we are suppressing little bit, very subtle, very subtle. Baba uses the word, you don't be angry as a Brahmin. But irritation. Irritation is suppression. You're not angry, you're not going to perform that anger. But you don't even say anything. But your state of mind takes it that way. So slowly and slowly that keeps on building and building. It's not always about anger, but about many things, attachment or possessiveness or whatever it is, greed or whatever it is, you keep on suppressing and suppressing in a very subtle form, not in a very gross manner. And that's a subtle form then turns into subconsciousness. You've accumulated it in the subconscious. And so because you can't do it physically, you can't do it in words, it comes out in a dream form and disturbs us. And so I personally love it, what Baba had said a couple of years ago, before going to sleep. Just say good night to Baba and give everything to Baba, whatever has happened, and then go to sleep and wake up with a fresh mind. But of course, sometimes we can't recognize that I've suppressed that. It's so subtle. But that's where you need to work on a little bit. Maybe you don't say you're very quiet, you're very calm, but you are taking it inside somewhere, whoever it is, not only the brother, but you need to check on that. And you will see, you will change the quality of sleep also, because in the early days when Sakar Baba was there, Baba used to say, Baba used to go and see, he used to check everybody who is sleeping in the room, he used to see what quality of sleep we are having. So Baba says there is bhogi, rogi and yogi sleep. Bhogi means indulgence. And rogi means illnesses and sickness, physical, mental. And yogi means very satopradhan sleep, very pure sleep. So is my sleep yogi, or is it bhogi, or is it rogi? Always in pain, always in complaint, always, that not quality of sleep. So we need to work on that only. Not only Baba's remembrance, not only yoga and tapasya. All these little things are there for me to work on. Om Shanti.